This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Hello and welcome to the Clock End Talk. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading and follow me at Gunatez, and I am your host of this wonderful podcast, which is also a part of the Big Heads Media Network. So, yeah, that's us. You can follow us at clockend_talk, and Tony handles that account. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. Someone else replied to something this week. I can't remember what it was, and it was like, oh, that doesn't sound like Tony, so stop stealing my account.
I did, actually. Yeah, I did. Yeah. I jump on there every now and then, but yeah.
Yeah, you start talking about Fantasy Premier League and literally no one cares.
I was bored, mate. I was bored, and I was stirring up fucking... who was that bloke I did a video of the other day? Goldbridge or something. What a classic that bloke is. I do like him. I find him entertaining.
I know nothing about him. I assume he's a Man United version of Arsenal Fan TV. I don't really deal with all these Twitter celebrities and all that shit. I don't care.
Yeah. No.
But then you post videos, and then because everyone knows that I mainly run the account, it's like, oh, Tony's done this to Goldbridge. I'm like, oh, I don't know who he is. If you walk past me in the street, I wouldn't have a clue.
All fun and games. What did Schwinn say to me the other day? Schwinn's not joining us this week either. He's busy, so I apologise for him. But we're used to that anyway. Hey, what did he say last week?
He said, board tell is my favourite tell.
Board. Yeah. I was like, oh, fucking good on you. Okay, let's get into this podcast. Now, mate, I'll let you talk about the Barcelona game yesterday because I couldn't find any coverage of it here in Australia. So I'm all your ears, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it on the Barcelona website. Actually, it was free. I don't know if that was worldwide or just to England because obviously they're playing an English team, which it made the commentary very interesting because it was English, but it was also very biased. We played quite well in the first half. We looked quite tight at the back, we looked like a decent unit. Chambers had another good game. I mean, I think obviously he's a certainty to start at Newcastle now, which is 6 days away. Mate, for me, especially the first half, the first half we were 1-0 up. Maitland-Niles was very, very good in the first half. Willock was good again, and I'd imagine he's probably earned himself a start versus Newcastle. Ozil played well. It was weird because we played what looked like on paper a 4-2-3-1, but in reality it was more like a 4-4-1-1. Ozil played very, very high and played very well, to be fair. He got a good assist for Upamecano, which was an unbelievable finish, and for me the reason he has to play as a 9 and not on the wing. I know a lot of people will disagree, and I just think shoehorning him there, you lose on the wing. You lose a major threat in two ways, and yeah, it's just not for me. But we played very well in the first half. Restricted Barcelona to not much. I can't remember any clear-cut chances. Griezmann had a goal disallowed, but he was well offside. Then the second half, we didn't suddenly turn bad. I mean, we conceded a stupid own goal, which has probably gone viral now, so I assume you've seen that. Poor communication between Maitland-Niles and Leno. And then still, I think we was pretty much all right. Both teams had chances or breaks. They dominated the ball, as you would expect Barcelona to, but they also made more subs. They're further away from starting their season than we are, so it looked like we kind of tried to play as much of the game as possible with an 11, so they get used to playing a longer amount of minutes. Whereas Barcelona, I think after 60 minutes, had changed 10 of the 11 players. So they were obviously fresher towards the end. And they got a stoppage time goal. Suarez, top class finish. A lot of arguments about the ball went over Mustafi's head. For me, it obviously did go over his head and it wasn't the best defending, but Chambers also didn't track the runner. But there's a lot of people out there that just want to blame certain players, so they will do that anyway. And I'm not defending Mustafi, but you can't blame everything on him at all times. He was nowhere near Suarez. If the ball goes over his head, you can't expect him to go and track Suarez. You know, I always say on here that it's very rare a goal comes from one mistake. It's usually a collection of loads of little mistakes. But what happens with Arsenal at the moment is there's loads of little mistakes, but there's 2 or 3 players that people don't like or don't want to rate. So they make their mistakes big and ignore everyone else's. And I feel that's kind of what happened with Barcelona's winning yesterday. But all in all, decent performance. Obviously, we still got Lacazette, Pepe to come back. Ceballos looked neat and tidy again. Only played, I think, about half hour, maybe less. The Barcelona stream didn't have the clock on it. So when people were coming on, I didn't have a clue how long was gone in the game. But he looked neat again. So, yeah, I mean, there's still some strengthening we have to do. Torreira, because he's only came back, only played about 10-15 minutes. So, yeah, but it looked good. It was more positive than I expected.
You talked all that up pretty well then. I did hear a lot of positives, but I'm wondering, look, and I know this is only pre-season football. Next week against Newcastle, that's the real deal. Now, I've seen a lot of people floating around, you know, through the Arsenal forums and things. Real Madrid 2-2, Lyon we lost 2-1. Angers, is it? 1-1. Barcelona 2-1 loss. It's not a great pre-season. Are we a little bit concerned? Do you think there's reason for concern there?
I'm not personally. Pre-season for me has never been about results. I mean, you don't win anything based on pre-season. We've gone years before, like we beat. So what was it? A couple of years ago, we beat Chelsea in the Community Shield, who were champions, and then went on to come 6th. Yeah, it's you don't win or lose anything in pre-season. It's all about getting the minutes. And on the flip side of what you've said, obviously them results are true. They're facts. You can't argue with them. But then you could go, well, we beat Bayern Munich and Fiorentina, and then suddenly things don't look so bad. But for me, I don't take too much notice in it. It's more about level of fitness, level of play, working some things out. I mean, as I said, we were excellent in the first half yesterday, and in the second half he slightly changed shape. And if it was a league game, I'd have been fuming about that, because don't sort of change what's working. Ozil, as I said, was playing as a very high up 10. In the second half, he brought Guendouzi on, and Ozil was more on the right. And then they tucked in the middle, and it was Xhaka and Guendouzi deep and Willock further forward. That's fine. We have to work these things out and see how these things work. But that wouldn't have happened in a league game. So for me, I don't place too much value on the score. As long as you're not getting embarrassed.
Yep.
I don't place too much value on them. But I mean, again, it's like the Lyon game as well. I don't know if you watched it, but if we would have won that game 10-2, I mean, it's saying that one of their goals was well offside as well. So if we'd have won that game 10-1, I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelid. We were so much better than them, and it just was what it was. And if that happens in a league game, yeah, it's annoying. But in pre-season, at least you know your level is there, your fitness is there, and things are working.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I did watch that game, but I didn't see the Angers or the Barcelona game, only because I couldn't find it anywhere. So, and Real Madrid, did go to penalties as well, so that was not too bad, I suppose. I'm with you. I'm not really bothered these pre-season games. Now, you have spoke about Willock. You've also spoke about Maitland-Niles, who have both been pretty well, with this pre-season. We're going to do our predictions next week. Next weekend.
Well, we're going to do them so we're doing them in 4 days because the window shuts in 3 days. Yeah. And you can't. I always think because we'd end up saying someone's going to be the player of the year, and then they might be sold by then.
Might be gone. Yeah.
So there's no doing them and then having to do them in 3 days again. So just on Friday, I think we're going to do a preview of Newcastle. Then we can guess our lineups and whatnot. But we'll also do our season predictions like we did last year.
Without giving too much away, are you struggling to think of a lineup with the likes of Willock and Maitland-Niles having such a good pre-season?
Look, I think it's all that's difficult to know is he going to say Ceballos? Is he going to put him in? Because I assume he's not, because he's only had limited amount of time. Does he rate him as a higher level of player than someone like Willock or Guendouzi? I would probably say yeah, but the guy's he's played less than an hour of football, I think. So does that earn him the shoehorn a spot into starting against Newcastle? Probably not. So it's just things like that, how we trust players. I mean, we saw last year, Torreira didn't get a start for about a month, I think it was.
Yeah.
Kept coming on, but he has this thing where he likes people to blend in, and he doesn't like to just throw them in. For me, it's wrong, but if it's worked for him in the past and it's what he likes to do, then it's what he's going to do, whether I agree with it or not.
Mm-hmm. But then Guendouzi, on the flip side, he come in and that type of shocked all of us, I think, didn't it? So.
Yeah, but I mean, Guendouzi had the whole pre-season, so he was playing every game, whereas Torreira last year was obviously at the World Cup, so came back late. So Torreira is probably a more case in point to speak to than like Ceballos, who came in late, and Pepe, who's obviously came in late. Whereas Guendouzi, although he was a new sign-in, he had the whole pre-season there and he was playing in all of the friendlies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the last podcast, Pepe had not been announced. That was probably the worst kept secret, though. Everybody knew that it was around the corner. Anything to add on that?
No, I mean, but when we done our last podcast, he'd already been pictured having his medical at Arsenal. So although it wasn't announced, and I hate the word done more than anyone else, I think that was about as done as you're going to get without it being confirmed. So I think we went over it in quite a lot of detail then. It was more than just a rumour. So yeah, look, glad it's done. Hopefully we can get him in shape to start games. I mean, I don't expect him to start against Newcastle. I want him to. I don't expect him to, but we'll come to that on Friday. But hopefully we can get him ready to go, because it's going to be very difficult, because if he doesn't start at Newcastle, you'd think, okay, Burnley at home is your one chance, but Burnley are quite physical, because after that you've got Liverpool away, Tottenham at home. Do you want to throw your new sign-in into games like that without having any minutes with the team? And I think the answer is probably not. So he's got to find time for him, because then on the flip side, you can't keep him out for the first. You can't leave him out for games that include Tottenham and Liverpool. It's like, well, why have you signed this big marquee sign-in if he's not going to start? Because after that's international break, so we'll have signed him in July and he won't start a game till I think it's like September the 20th or something like that. Mm-hmm. So he's got it's a tricky one, because we know how he likes to work, and we're not 100% sure on Pepe's fitness, but he's got to kind of get him in quick. Otherwise, he's going to be a long time on the bench, and then questions start to be asked.
I said during the week after he was announced, Pepe, go back to who was the biggest announcement that you could think of. A lot of talk was Ozil was big, Sanchez, a few people said. Blokes like MAA Gunner said El Neni. Where's this sit for you in terms of big announcements?
For me, probably second. Nothing will ever compare to Ozil, because look, people may not rate him now, and that's up to them. But at the time, he was seen as the best 10 in the world. He was a genuine world-class player. Like, there was no doubt. No one saw Ozil sign and went, "Oh, fucking hell, I don't want that," or "I would prefer this guy." So Ozil, for me, will pretty much always be number one. The reason I'd say Pepe too is like someone like Aubameyang. It was known for a while, like quite a long time. Whereas Pepe, I think most people will agree, I didn't think we had a chance. I didn't even put us in the race for him.
Coming out of the blue.
So like, I'd heard that we were willing to match the price, but it was out of us and loads of other clubs. And I thought, well, why would he choose us at the moment? We're not the biggest players. We're not in the Champions League. Blah, blah, blah. And also, why would we spend that money on him when we have other pressing areas? So I think just for the shock factor of Pepe, I put him second because I just thought he was completely unobtainable. Whereas with, say, as I said, Aubameyang, it was known for a while. I mean, it dragged out longer than it needed to. I remember coming out from Bournemouth away, we lost 2-1. It was either the 3rd or the 5th of January, and the rumours were starting that Arsenal were seriously in for Aubameyang. And then I don't think it actually completed till like the 30th of January. Whereas Pepe, we started hearing the major stories on Friday, and he was here for the medical on Monday. So it was just like the whole shock and oh wow, it's happened sort of thing. So I think at the moment that'll go second. Alexis, at the time, was a Barcelona reject, essentially. Not that's harsh. It makes it sound like I'm trying to say he was shit. I'm not.
Was that the year of the Euros or World Cup?
World Cup. He had a decent but not great World Cup. And as I said, he was like Barcelona's 4th choice. And he was always going to go somewhere. It was kind of known he was too good to, and it happened to be us. And it was a great signing. But I think a lot of the Alexis is in hindsight. Like after we saw what he'd done for us in the first 3 years, we now say, "Oh, what a great signing that was." But I remember at the time it was like a good signing, but no one thought he was going to be as good as he was. I think that surprised most people, whether they admit it now or not.
Lacazette?
No, I mean, again, I don't know why it's different to Pepe because he'd only done it in France, but so had Pepe. I think the difference was that Lacazette, he wasn't really linked with anyone else. He was going to go Atletico, but then they had their issues. We didn't really seem to beat anyone off for his signature. And he'd also been doing it for a lot longer, so other teams had the chance, whereas Pepe's really had his first major breakout year. And then everyone's on him, and we've beat off other people. And I think that's what made it such a shock, is that we've beat other teams to the signature.
Yeah, no, I do remember the Ozil. That was very exciting signing. That was, yeah. I'd probably agree with you, Pepe. Yeah, I'm shocked actually. I'm so shocked that we've got Pepe coming at Arsenal. I'm still blown away. I think I said to the boys in the WhatsApp, I pinch ourselves. Are we dreaming here? What's going on? You know, but reportedly had a budget of £45 million to start this window. So. Crazy,
man.
Crazy. Who are we putting this? And a good window down to? Like Tierney, I know, and we'll get onto that later because there is questions. Tierney is one that everybody's saying if we get him, it's a magical window and probably the best window we've had. Are you around that thoughts?
I know we spoke about this last week and we gave it numbers out of 10, but I'm a bit 50-50 with it because, as I said, we've had the major announcement of Pepe, which was huge and no one expected. Ceballos looks like a very good signing. Tierney is something we need. So again, it's another good coup. Still part of me, and maybe it's just a negative, pessimist Arsenal fan in me, that we still have the same problems. So it will be probably the best window in a long time. But I've seen people saying it's a 10 out of 10, and for me, it's not at that level because we're still looking at starting, or if not like starting Mustafi, or even, this is nothing against Callum Chambers because I think he's good, but he was deemed not even good enough to be at the club 12 months ago, and now he's going to be starting games for us. For me, a perfect window, and again, this is not against Callum Chambers, is having players in the positions ready to play. And even if we signed Umtiti this week, I don't think it's going to happen. He's not going to be ready to start on Sunday. So I don't see how we can claim that as a perfect window. But it has been a very good one. Okay.
Let's segue into them ones. And Coutinho, he was another one as well. A couple of Barcelona players. Thoughts there? You just said you don't think he's going to come.
No, with Coutinho, I could just never see it. I don't see the point. We obviously spoke about this between me and you, but I can't see the point in it. It's nothing against the player. I think he's a good player, but he's not necessary. He would cost us so much money. His wages would be extortionate. His age is not brilliant. I literally couldn't see any reasoning in it. It just didn't make sense to me. And usually, in general, if something doesn't make sense, then the reason for it is because it doesn't make sense and probably won't happen. I don't think there was anything ever serious. I think it might have been more from the Barcelona side of things. The Arsenal were there, and obviously Sanlehi's obviously got a good relationship with them. He was there for so long. So they've said, he's coming to speak about this player, and it might bring up interest elsewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if Coutinho goes, but as I said, I can't see any way it could be us.
They don't have to rush because that window doesn't close until the second week of September or something.
Well, they do there's two reasons I would say they do. One is because I still think Man United are probably sniffing around. And two, everyone's value goes down the day the English window closes.
Okay, so you think they want to cash in on the Premier League? No,
it doesn't have to be to the Premier League, but say PSG want him and it's out of PSG and Man United. PSG know Man United have got money, so they have to bid slightly more. If it comes to Saturday, whatever date it is, August 10th, and the English clubs aren't there anymore, there's no bidding war to create. And the only other teams that are going to come in are not going to be as rich. So you aren't going to get a team from Italy offering 80 million for him. So then it's just like the English clubs, just the fact that they can say, Arsenal are also looking, creates a bidding war, even if there isn't really one.
Yeah. I said to you during the week, when I'm so on the fence with him. If we get him, I suppose I'm happy, but I don't even know where he fits in.
As I said, with me, it's not his ability as a player I'm questioning. It's exactly that, where he fits in, and for the money. I don't want to be spending crazy amounts of money on someone where you go, I'm not really sure where he goes, what he does. And the thing is, some people will say on the left wing he's not really a winger and he's not going to create width and he's not quick enough. Some people say as a 10, but then you're benching Ozil. Well, a lot of people throughout this year have said, the 10 doesn't exist anymore, we don't want a 10. Now suddenly, because we're linked with him, they do want a 10 again, they just didn't want Ozil. But then still, you're benching someone who's on whatever it is, 350 grand a week or whatever. So it's just costing you stupid money anyway. And I know someone's going to reply to this and go, but Coutinho's levels above. And again, I'm not a numbers person, but last season he played more games, more minutes, and got the same amount of goals and same amount of assists as Ozil, who apparently had the worst year ever, and also played with Messi and Suarez. So it's not like usually you get that argument, but he was feeding Danny Welbeck. Well, no, to get an assist to play with Messi, you just have to give him the ball sometimes, 60 yards out, and he'll get you an assist somehow.
And a lot of people I've seen also bench Granite, and he goes in there as well. So
you can't play.
I don't think he can he?
No.
It's just got me buggered. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, that's about it for transfers, isn't it? And there might be a few as we continue on through some questions. Sit tight, and we'll be back with the second half of the show, and we'll get to your questions.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're the hosts of the Rinkside Podcast.
We were annoyed by the lack of hockey coverage on local sports radio and decided that we were stupid enough to try and provide some ourselves.
We have what we call the Rinkside Guarantee. We guarantee that the podcast you're currently listening to is better than ours. We are literally just two halves of one whole idiot trying to fumble through covering the Detroit Red Wings, the National Hockey League, and hockey in general.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Rinkside Pod, and subscribe to us on all your favorite podcast providers.
Every time you listen to our podcast, it brings us one step closer to our ultimate business goal of purchasing the Arizona Coyotes and then moving them to Detroit. What? Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming, or just another commercial. We aren't the ones who make those choices.
Okay, so we're back, Tony, and we've got some questions, and if you want to get your questions in at @clockend_talk. And just quickly, before I get into these questions, I just want to give the blog a plug because Craig and Dave, they do a really great job there. And I only found out, I think it was one of the boys in the WhatsApp group, he wasn't even sure that we did a blog. So, clockendtalk.blogspot.com is the website. You can check that out. And like I said, Craig and Dave, they do a great job. And if anybody wants to jump on and contribute to that as well, you can just get in touch with myself or Craig, and I haven't got Craig's ad on me on Twitter at the moment, but just get in touch with me at Gunatez and I'll point you in the right way because Craig is always looking for writers. So Okay, we've got about 30-odd questions to get through, Tony.
Lovely.
MAA Gunner, do you think we'll sell Kos after the deadline day, even though we can't bring in a replacement?
This is semi-interesting because although I'm quite vengeful and hot-headed, I've always said, like, make him starve with the kids, like, use him in training, tell him, you're training with the first team today, and use him as a goalpost or make him stand in a wall for 2 hours. Like, that's the type of petty shit I do. But if it gets past Thursday and we haven't sold him, he is just a liability that's costing us money. Like, as in, you're paying him whatever it is, 80, 90 grand a week. He's never going to play. He's of absolutely no use to anyone. So it's probably worth it then to just say, you know what, fuck off for free, because you're no use to us and you're costing us money. That is probably the sensible option. But as I said, I'm a vengeful, spiteful person. So I would literally, instead of using them dummies, they will use when they're practicing free kicks and stuff, I would tell him you are a dummy for the rest of the season.
So you're pretty dirty with him that he didn't go to the US?
Just the whole thing. I mean, it's so unprofessional. I mean, he could even still have gone and still been like trying to get this move out behind the scenes, but to completely refuse to play, refuse to travel, it just casts a bad light on the whole squad. I mean, obviously other players will have opinions on it as well, which didn't need to be had. So, like, I just think if someone wants to act like a bitch, treat him like one.
If this was a big player, and I'll just going to touch on it quickly. I know we've got questions to get through. But if this was an Aubameyang or a Lacazette or something, would you be thinking around the same lines? Because I've seen today Ronaldo's upset a few fans over in Korea, I think it is, because he didn't. He went there, but he didn't get a run on the paddock, so he basically sat on the bench, but he still waved to him and everything. And I wonder whether, if it was a really big name player like Aubameyang, Lacazette, would you still think the same, like, or you're a bit lenient towards another big player?
No, I don't want anyone playing for the club that doesn't want to be there, because when it comes down to them crunch moments, are they really going to pull it in? Like, when you go into them 50-50s and you know you could get hurt, if you don't want to be there, you're just going to go, fuck that. I'm not going to risk getting injured. I don't want to be here. I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
Okay, that may be questioning the professionalism of the players, but in doing what he's done, he's shown a lack of professionalism. He's accepted his contract and he's multiple thousands a week for many years now. He's been injured and received the free treatment and still received his wages. I don't see many of these players when they're injured saying, you know what, I'm offering you nothing this week, don't pay me. But then suddenly when it goes against what they want to sulk and act like children. For me, it's nothing to do with Koscielny. I've liked Koscielny throughout the years. I've never really had a bad word to say about him as a person. I may have questioned his ability at times, but this is nothing to do with because it's Koscielny. It'd be the same if it's anyone.
Yeah, I only mentioned Ronaldo because some clown told me today that it was similar circumstances, and I went, fuck off. It's nothing fucking even like it.
It's nothing like it, and I mean, obviously, we don't know if he refused to play, and we don't know if he was feeling a little injury. With Koscielny, we know there was no injury, and he's flat out refused to go.
Yeah.
Even if he was injured, we saw Bellerin travelled while he was injured, and Holding, really. Neither of them played out there. They were just there to continue their rehabilitation, whereas Koscielny just flat out refused to go. To be fair, I did see a headline last night, I think it was, that it was like Ronaldo faces massive new probe or court case. And obviously I just expected it to be about the rape stuff again. And then I opened it and it's like Ronaldo faces fine in Korea for not playing, and I'll just turn it off. Yeah. So just close the story.
It was weird. I'll tell you what though, geez, I fell in love with Bellerin when he went over the US, because I remember somebody said, why is Bellerin going over there? And it was just seeing him, taking selfies with Arsenal fans and just mingling around the pubs I seen. It was just really good to see. And, geez, I found it just a massive respect for the bloke. Like, he's injured. He probably didn't have to go. I don't know whether they give him the option to travel or not, but I was like, wow, that was really class of him to do what he did with the fans over there. I don't know if you probably seen a few on the social stuff that he was out and about with everyone.
Yeah, I've seen it. And look, it's that stuff. Like, I remember after Baku, and I came on here fuming that Like, the players didn't even come over and clap. They didn't acknowledge the fans. And I know people thought, oh, that's petty. Like, what does it matter? What do you get out of them clapping? But it is just that sense of appreciation. And now you're seeing the other side of it. Bellerin didn't have to come and do that, but because he had people think, oh, what a good lad, or, you know what I mean, that was a nice touch. Whereas no one would have cared if he didn't. Like, no one would have batted an eyelid. Yeah. So sometimes it just makes you feel like there's a relationship between the fans and the players. They're not superhumans that can't be spoken to or you have no contact with. Stuff like that does help, and it's just all positive PR. And obviously, it's not a different type of fan, but it's fans in America. But fans do love to feel that stuff, whether it be England, Australia, America, or Timbuktu.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Is Lacazette injury a blessing in disguise? I really don't want to see Aubameyang on the left.
I don't want to see him on the left, but I mean, I don't think it's going to change anything. I think Lacazette will be fit and ready to play Newcastle. We've seen him training. I think it was just more of a precautionary measure. I think the one, as I said earlier, we're not likely to see is Pepe. So I think we will see Aubameyang on the left against Newcastle unless he goes 2 up top, because without Pepe he might do what he done against Real Madrid and go 2 up top, and then we'll see them both through the middle.
Pepe can play as a striker too, though, can't
he? Not really.
Not really, okay.
Like, if needs must, but
and you got Eddie, I suppose, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of reports about him being loaned out, which is really strange.
Okay.
But we'll see.
Oh, Martinelli, there's another one. Play up top.
Yeah, he's not featured up front at all, I don't think, on tour. Played on the right yesterday, came on, had a couple of little moments where he looked bright, nearly scored. Would have been a very good goal, actually, if it went in. But he looks bright. I'm not sure if I would want him playing, 20, 30 minutes every week in the Premier League. He doesn't look quite ready for that, but you never know with these people until it happens.
Because I was thinking he might be the one player that come the end of the season that everybody's going, well, it was Guendouzi last year and now it's Martinelli this year. So, that one player.
Yeah. To me, he just looks a bit, I don't know if raw is the word, like where you kind of don't know what he's going to do. He can do something class, but then he can misplace a 2-yard ball. And you just think, like, how have you done that? Or he can take a terrible touch where it's not difficult. So, and I think in general, it's hard to trust them players with too much. Yeah, you give him minutes, but you can't rely on them players yet. And look, it's his age. He's only new to the country. I guess his language, I'm pretty sure I don't know, but I don't think he can speak English. So all those things will come. But I think at the moment, you don't want to be 1-0 down and your first sub is Martinelli.
Okay. What do you think is wrong with Mkhitaryan? Is it so rare to see one of our attacking players look so bad?
I'm going to take a lot of shit here. He is on that list of players I said earlier where everyone looks for him. Like when something goes wrong, it's his fault regardless. Look, he wasn't good yesterday. I'm not saying he was, but then I saw people saying after the game, I don't think he's ever had a good game for us since his debut. It was about 6 weeks in about March where I thought he was our best player every week. And then he fell off the boil, he got injured. But it's just people want to remember the bad times because they don't like him and don't rate him, whatever. Is he overpaid? Yes. I think he's kind of fallen into the same bracket as Ozil, where because of his wages, people are judging him on that. But a wage packet never won a football match. Is he terrible? No. Is he the best player in the world? No. Just for me, he's just somewhere in that bracket. He's capable of good games. He's capable of bad games. I don't know. I don't really know what people want from him. They want him to be 10 out of 10 every week, but when he's not, it's a major issue. But no one's 10 out of 10 every week.
I think people. I didn't see much of him at Dortmund. I know he was there. I watched probably a handful of games. But he, obviously at Manchester United, he was tarred as a bit of a dud there. He's now come to Arsenal. Arsenal fans are saying he's a bit of a dud here. Do you think the expectations are, they seem to put Mkhitaryan on a pedestal and go, well, he should be I'm trying to think of a player. a world star player. Like
I think it's just because of the money. Like, I think if we had Mkhitaryan on 60 grand a week, then people might be like, oh, he's not really doing as well as expected, but there wouldn't be a big deal out of it. But because he is on that money, then people are expecting so much more. Look, put it this way, as I said, he wasn't good yesterday, but had him and, say, Nelson swap performances, and Nelson was pretty good, no one would be going, this, that, and the other about Reece. It'd just be like, you know what, he had one of them games. He wasn't great. He done a couple of nice things, a couple of bad things. But no one, if Mickey had Nelson's game, most people would sit here and say, oh, Nelson had good games, one of the bright spots. But if Mickey had that exact same game, I don't think anyone would be saying that. They'd just be like, oh, yeah, no mention. Mm-hmm. Or they'd mention one or two bad things he'd done. Because Nelson didn't do everything right. But that's life.
If Raul comes back with Coutinho and Umtiti, I'll connect my phone to a speaker and walk around the town listening to the next podcast on full volume, says AA Gunner. I know. Just Coutinho. It's got people talking, man. People are excited, but fucking tell me where you. I can only think of Ozil. That's who they. So they drop an Ozil for Coutinho. But then I seen 4 up the front. Somebody sent me a line up the other day and said, no, we play 4 at the front with Coutinho.
Yeah, I mean, I assume people are talking about Coutinho on the left, but
I didn't notice where they put him. It was on the left, was it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be. If they're going Aubameyang, Lacazette, Pepe, then the space that the free space that's available is on the left, unless you move Aubameyang left and put Coutinho in the 10. But as I said, apparently last season the 10 was dead and no one wanted one.
Interesting. What? 4 at the back? Leaves your midfield a bit shy, doesn't it?
I mean, look, it's never going to happen.
I don't like a week, they lose. No, that wouldn't work. Because that definitely wouldn't work. Because you've got Granit and Terra, and then they sort of say Granit can't turn around, and they'll run around him, and so no, that wouldn't work. Is Ceballos an upgrade on Granit? I thought he was an attacking player, but saw his defensive numbers, which were surprisingly high.
I've not seen it in terms of numbers, and I don't really look at numbers anyway. The issue with that is, he's better sort of more short-range, little cute passes, and Xhaka plays a lot of the longer balls. Also, I think with someone with Ceballos' skill set, you want them a bit higher up the pitch, influencing the game more. So I don't see them two in competition with each other, to be honest.
Okay. How much will our new relationship with Bruno Mendes help us in the future?
Yeah, I don't know who Bruno Mendes is. I assume he means Jorge Mendes. Look, it won't just be him. It'll be Sanlehi coming from a Barcelona background will work with agents. It's how they do things. It's how a lot of clubs do things. So on this occasion, he obviously thought that Mendes was in the best place to do it, to help get the deal across the line. Who knows what contacts Mendes has in that sense, if he's good mates with Pepe's agent, if he had a relationship with Lille for some unknown reason, and they just felt he was the best man to the job. What essentially happens with agents is when a club wants an agent to work for them, they put out a tender essentially. So he would have said to Mendes, we have this amount of money. If you go and get Pepe for us, we'll pay you this much. And obviously they've just decided that Mendes was in the best place for that deal. It's not a relationship with Mendes as such. There may be a deal where Raiola is the best man for it, even if it's not his player. If, say, obviously Raiola's taken a lot of players to Juventus. So say there's a player at Juventus who has an obscure agent, it's his uncle or something, but Raiola has a great relationship with Juventus, then Arsenal may say to him, look, we'll pay you X amount to go and help with this deal. I don't think this is a relationship with Mendes.
Mendes, from what I understand, works pretty close with the Wolves. a lot of his players either go there on loan and things like that, and he's got a good relationship with the owner. I don't know if you know about that or whatnot, but yeah. So this is a totally different thing to what's going on there.
Yeah, look, I mean, for us, Arsenal never really done it, so it wouldn't be a surprise if people don't really know that it's how a lot of clubs do their work. That they're, especially when the club are more run by business people than football people, they pay an agent to go and do the work for them, essentially. Like, I remember when I first started working with an agent who's got England internationals and Premier League players. And there was one of my friends was one of his clients, and he was talking about a fee that he was going to earn. And I said, yeah, but my friend can't pay that. And he said, no, we work on behalf of the club. That's how they get around it.
So what?
So then when they get the deal done, the fee comes from the club.
So what would Mendes do that Raul or somebody else at Arsenal do? What does he do better?
Well, I mean, one, the relationship you're assuming is going to be a stronger relationship. Two, Raul's there to oversee transfers. So if he's working on 5-6 deals at a time, he can't be in all of them places, going to all of them meetings. He can finalise the meetings, of course, but he can't be going through every stage of it. An agent is in the best place. They know the market better. They know the people to speak to. Look, Mendes may be really good mates with Pepe's agent. So then it's more, look, Arsenal are offering this. I know the whole project at Arsenal. Whereas Raul can't go and sell the whole project at Arsenal to every target we're going after. Okay. It's just leveraging relationships, essentially.
So an agent basically is building relationships, and they're a good salesman.
Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't always have to work like that. Not every transfer will go down that route. And it's something that we all know. Wenger made a lot of signings based on he went and met the players and he done this, he sold Arsenal to them. But we know Wenger hated agents. And that's probably why, because he felt he had to pay someone 5, 6, 7 million for something he felt he could do himself. Like we know that Wenger went and met Alexis when we signed him. He met him at the World Cup in Brazil. We know that. I mean, I know it's only a small time player at the time, but when we signed Ramsey, Wenger was commentating on the Euros. I can't remember where it was. I think it was in Switzerland, and he flew Ramsey over to Switzerland to come and have a meet with him and talk with him. Most clubs, and I mean now including Arsenal in this, will just pay someone else to do it.
Okay. You prefer that? It doesn't bother you?
It doesn't bother me. Look, it's going to cost you a bit more in agent fees, but if it means you can do more than a few things at a time, you can focus on more avenues.
You got to do
then, yeah, there's no real issue with it. It only starts to really hurt you when agent fees become completely stupid. But then obviously that's something you have to plan into your budget.
Is a Mendes likely to help? Because Raul's who's the other agent you said? Raiola, yeah. He's Mkhitaryan's agent, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he's likely to work on a deal to get Mkhitaryan out of Arsenal, or would Mendes come in to help that as well for Arsenal?
Clubs tend to not employ agents to get rid of players.
Okay.
In general, unless there's a player unless they think they can create a bidding war. So for it, the only way that would happen is say De Ligt, who I believe is Raiola. Ajax might have said, like, we'll give you 2 million to help us sell him because we know you have links at every club and you can drive the price up a bit. Like, do you know what I mean? Getting PSG interested, getting Barcelona interested, blah, blah, blah. And in that case, that's where it's a dream for the agent because you earn on all sides of the deal. You get paid by Ajax for increasing the price. You get paid by the buying club as you're the player's agent. So that kind of works a dream. But in general, clubs don't pay agents to get rid of players.
Crazy world, isn't it?
Wherever there's a loop, or wherever there's money to be exploited, people will find out the best ways to do it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, let's move on. Gator Guna, he says, is Torreira a true CDM? I ask because I see a lot of lineups where they place him positionally in front of Granit?
It's just from pretty much January onwards, he played higher up because Emery wanted to press and Torreira has more energy than Granit. So from that, I don't know if it's just people assuming that that's how he's going to be used, and it probably is how he's going to be used. He doesn't progress the ball as well as Granit either. So if you have him deep, they would prefer Granit progressing the ball than Torreira. For me, he is a central defender. In the same way Kante doesn't progress the ball brilliantly, you wouldn't say he's not Sarri tried to, but you wouldn't say he's not a defensive midfielder. It's just how things are. But for me, he is. It's just when we're talking in a world of pressing, he is more equipped to press than Granit.
Okay. Gay Daguna goes on and he says, is Granit a liability in the midfield? I saw many pre-season games and I see a lot of his limitations, but I don't consider him a bad player. Thanks, guys.
For me, he has his strengths and he has his weaknesses. And he's not split. Well, he does. He massively splits fans because you have some fans like you who only see his strengths and they'll tell you he's world class. You then have others that can only see his weaknesses, and it doesn't really matter what he does. They're just going to go, but he's slow, or he can't turn, or he gets booked too much, which for me is the dumbest criticism ever. I hate that. Socrates gets that as well. Oh, yeah, but he gets booked too much. Give a fuck. As long as he's not getting sent off. So I think Granit does split fans in that sense. Look, as the whole package is, there are better players out there. Yes, of course there is. But if you look at the whole, his strengths and his weaknesses, he really isn't a bad player. If you choose to look at anyone's weaknesses, then you're probably not going to rate them. Look, the example I always use is if Messi went to Stoke and they played long ball to him, everyone would think he's shit. Because you're focusing on his weakness that he can't do it aerially. I'm not comparing Xhaka to Messi. But if you only look at anyone's weakness, is it Einstein's quote? If you judge a goldfish on his ability to climb a tree, it's always going to think it's an idiot.
Fucking hell. Who the fuck's that fucking Einstein quote? Yeah, that's classic. Yeah, no idea, but I like it. I like that.
It's something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but it is about a goldfish climbing a tree and thinking it's stupid because it can't do it.
Yeah. Because I'll be honest, I've seen a lot of hatred towards Granit in his pre-season. A lot of people saying it's time for him to go. It's time for us to get the 30 mil or whatnot. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know what Arsenal fans want at times. Like, I get that everybody has an opinion on football. That's what creates these podcasts. That's what creates discussions through people and everywhere. But it shits me a little bit that nobody does see his strengths. And they always do only see his weaknesses.
Well, no, they depend. They see strengths in people they want to see strengths in.
Yeah.
But it happens both ways because, as I said, you'll get people and say...
I see his weaknesses. I just take the piss here because I just love taking the piss with these cunts. But
you'll see online, and Ozil's probably a better example of this, that there is people that just flat out cannot see their weaknesses.
Well, Iwobi. Ask any African about Iwobi.
Yeah.
Shout out
but then,
to
and again, he gets it both ways in the interest of fairness. Then he gets other people that just will refuse to see that he's good at anything.
Mm.
So it happened. It only happens with a few players, but it does happen. I mean, Ozil's long been been a victim of it. Xhaka, Iwobi, as you said. I think Mustafi probably used to be. Now it's just everyone is of the same opinion.
I feel really sorry for Mustafi, and some people might go, fucking wake up yourself. But I got a tweet the other day, and I do apologise who it was from. I think it was Hot Wife or something, Tony. I can't. Anyway, I can't remember her actual Twitter name, but I know she listens to the podcast. And she actually, said if don't hate me for this, but if we don't buy a centre back, we have to keep Mustafi because we need depth. And I had to agree. I know a lot of people are going sell Mustafi, or there's many players better than Mustafi. We'd rather Mafropanos than a Mustafi, and things like that. But for me, if we don't buy a centre back by next Thursday, and there's questions here about it, so we won't go into it, I think we have to keep Mustafi.
For me, he has to. Even if we sign one, he has to stay because Koscielny's either going to be off or not playing.
Oh, yeah,
so
I forgot about him.
One down on last year, regardless.
Yeah.
Look, we're looking at pre-season, and less Socrates and Chambers have been first choice. Mustafi is our next choice. So
you got to hold him still, haven't you?
Yeah, but
he's not back till when is he back?
They reckon mid-September after the international break. Okay. But then he obviously still won't have played any first-team games. So, but even then, there's still four. You need 4 first-choice centre-backs. Like obviously not 4 first-choice, but you need 4 centre-backs who are capable of coming in, and you need that. You have to have that.
Mm-hmm.
For me, unless we sign 2, which isn't going to happen, he has to stay.
He has to stay. Mm. Yeah, no.
It's a shame. In a way, it's a shame because I don't. Look, he's obviously not the greatest player in the world, but I don't think he's ever going to get to anywhere near even the level we've seen him at his best at Arsenal because his confidence is fucked. No one's doing him any favours. As I said, I'm all for criticising a player when they make a mistake, whether I like them or not. But when you get to the point where criticising people when they haven't done anything yet, like booing someone when they're coming on, he hasn't made a mistake. All he's done is walked on the pitch.
Yeah, that was pretty shit.
As I said, if he makes a mistake, I don't agree with booing people, but if he makes some mistakes and then you want to have a moan about it, fair enough. But when they're stepping on the fucking pitch, like, for me, it's just not for me. Each to their own, I guess.
Okay, one from Sandeep. Tony, how silly is the Coutinho to Arsenal rumour, or is there some truth to this?
Look, I mean, I've obviously said earlier my opinion on it, but it is an opinion. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me, so I can't see it. But other people will have other opinions and tell me I'm stupid for mine. But that's the things with opinions. Everyone has one.
Yep, they're like an arsehole. We all got one. Håkon Larsson, how come Bellerin was the last breakthrough defender from our academy? Not one defender after him has been with the first team and starting games. Not looking for world-class defenders, but it's weird that we only produce offensive players. That's a fucking really good question.
I had this conversation with someone about 6 months ago. I thought it was on here, but maybe it wasn't because I know Håkon does listen. It might have been just like going to a game or speaking to someone in the pub at a game. But I can't argue with it because it's a fact. But the question I would ask back is look at any of the top teams where none of them have produced defenders. Like you look, Liverpool were playing Van Dijk and Gomez. Yeah, Gomez is young, but they brought him from Charlton. That would be the same as saying that Holding is someone we've produced, and obviously that's not true.
Well, then do you say Southampton produced them?
Huh?
What are you saying, Van Dijk?
Well, no, Van Dijk. Look at I'm saying Liverpool. They're playing Van Dijk, who they've obviously brought in for crazy money, and Gomez, who is young, but they brought him in. They didn't produce him.
Yeah.
United, obviously, but all their defenders are shit, but they're all brought in anyway. City, all brought in. Tottenham, all brought in. No one is, for whatever reason, and I think that's why they're going for so much money at the moment, because no one's producing them. No one is making centre-backs at the moment. So the ones that are about, whether you rate them or not, I mean, look, I rate Harry Maguire, I really do, but 80 million is fucking crazy. And,
I was going to ask you about that. Okay, so that's crazy.
Well,
yeah,
worse than that, you get Ake, who again, I mean, look, I'm not his biggest fan. There is bigger fans of him out there, but they're being quoted 75 million. Lewis Dunk, who I really do rate, 45 million. Like, you're just having a laugh, but that's because these centre-backs ain't being produced at the moment. So while Håkon, for me, is right in his question, why aren't we doing it? I don't think it's an Arsenal problem. I think you can look at football in general and go, or especially in England, why aren't these teams producing centre-backs? Like, I'm trying to think of any in, Premier League.
There?
No, Tottenham play Vertonghen, Sanchez, and what's the other? Alderweireld. And Foyth's behind them. None of their top 4 choices are. Even Eric Dyer was brought in from Lisbon. But that's just the top 6. Even going beyond that, I think Dunk is probably one of them, but he played lower league for Brighton, so it's a bit different. He could, do you know what I mean? They could ease him in. I can't think of anyone in the Prem really who's a centre back who you said, that team has brought him through and he's now. Well, I mean, there's obviously some, but they're just not very good. There's no one that anyone else would be looking at.
Burnley, maybe. They got a couple. They got a fair few English. I don't know whether they've been.
Yeah, but then Tarkowski they brought in. Me, I'm not sure about actually. But yeah, I mean, look, the point remains. They're not really. It's just not happening.
Yeah. I see your point. I only mentioned Burnley because I know they've got a lot of English players there. I'm just trying to think of teams with English players.
Yeah. Look, they don't have to be English. Like it said, he mentioned Bellerin coming through the academy.
True.
But as I said, centre backs just aren't. I don't know if the league's got too physical for a young kid to be playing there. I don't know what it is, but just in general, no one is making centre backs at the moment.
I'll just twist on that.
We're seeing the prices we are.
Twisting on that on this conversation quickly though. Is there centre backs that have been loaned out for their development that you can think of too that are going pretty good? That might, in the next couple of years, I don't know. Is there some that have been loaned out that you think, a couple of years he might go all right or nothing?
I mean, not really. Some people have high hopes for Zach Medley. I never really have. I'm not a fan. I don't know what it is. The world is not creating centre-backs anymore. Defending's boring. And then you get ones who, like Dayot. Look, Dayot is a very good player, but I think people are going so over the top about him because he's a rare breed at the moment. Someone of his level that was a winger wouldn't have as much as many teams chasing after him because there's loads of them. The joy Dayot's having or had when he got his move is that, like, when you say the best young centre backs, who else is in the conversation with him? No one, because they're not being produced.
I'm not. I see what you're saying, but I'm not buying it yet because I want to see a season of him with Juventus. I want to see what this kid's made of first before I say that it's going to be great.
That's the point I'm making. He's being so highly rated because he has no competition. As I said, if you say who's the best defenders in the world under 20 or whatever he is.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Okay, the first name anyone says is Dayot. Fair enough. Now who's second and third? And people go, that's the answer.
Yeah, good point.
Whereas if you've done it for wingers, okay, you might have, or strikers or attackers, just put them in general, people might go, Mbappe is clearly number one. But then they could list off 10, 20 others who go, he could make it, he could be world class, he could be amazing. Whereas centre backs, even naming 20 under 20, I think a lot of people would struggle with, including me. I'm not saying I'm a fucking genius. I couldn't name 20 centre backs that are under 20 and actually playing.
There's a couple in Italy, but they're not in. There's a couple floating around Italy.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to say there's a couple without. I could say, there's a couple in Timbuktu. What's their name?
Their name slips me at the moment. I can't think of names, but I've seen there is a goal because I think it was last year. I was thinking to myself, I wonder why, and maybe this brings up a good point. Why aren't Premier League clubs? They're not producing them, so why aren't they going to Italy for defenders? But then, good point is, are they any fucking good?
I don't think anyone's producing them. For me, that really is the issue. It's not a Premier League problem.
I'm gonna have my Italian mates message me after this podcast and go, "Fucking hell, Tez, you're not flying the flag for the Italian league."
It just seems to go through cycles. A few years ago, everyone was a wide forward, and then there was 10s popping up everywhere. There was a time a few years ago where it seemed like there was no fucking strikers about. You looked at genuine number 9s, and there was no one because the 10 became more attractive. Now people will tell you the 10 doesn't really exist anymore, and it's being phased out. And we're starting seeing a bit better strikers again. Football goes through phases, and I just think we're at a stage at the moment where young centre-backs are either not good enough or they're just not being given the chance to play. So then no one knows about them, and then they don't exist, and they end up overpaying for... What happens is now everyone's overpaying for centre-backs because there's none about, and people will start to thinking, why don't we make our own? So then everyone's a centre-back for a bit, and another position will miss out. football goes in cycles, and I think this is just one of them where at the moment centre back is not in fashion, but because of what's happening now, everyone will start being a centre back because they realise you can earn the big money in for them.
Yeah, well, just looking and you look at the top teams this window. Have a look at who's bought centre backs and what they've paid for it. Like Juventus, they bought 2, didn't they? Dayot.
Not sure. I know they got Dayot.
Oh, didn't they? Yeah, they got old mate from Roma. Did they? No, they didn't. I'm trying
No, he went to Napoli.
Napoli, that's right. Anyway, but like you say, Man United, they just paid 80 million for Maguire. Like, how crazy is it? Like, yeah.
Yeah, as I said, it's just for me there is just a complete lack of them, and this is the result.
Anyway, I was just looking there. Where did Manolas go to?
Oh, that's what I was talking about when I said he went to Napoli.
He went to Napoli, didn't he?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason I had in my head Juventus. Oh, where are they from? Fuck if I know. Once they leave, I don't give a fuck. You're dead to me. Hakon, where am I up to? Bradford. Good question, Hakon. Good question, buddy. That's what I like to see questions like come through. Get you thinking. Yesterday against Barcelona, it was very clear that we needed a right winger as well. When we attacked, Mickey was too far in the middle and he ruined our chance to advance on the left. Did you guys notice it, Tony?
I mean, we literally broke our transfer record to sign a right winger less than 7 days ago. Didn't really get the question.
First question from Hakon was good. Second question, not so good, Hakon.
No, I agree. I know. I mean, Mickey did tuck in and make it narrow, but I'd imagine that was more instructions rather than what he wants to do. Or it is also what he wants to do because it's how he plays. But yeah, I mean, I can't say, we desperately need a right winger. Yeah, we have. We just literally paid £72 million for one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to argue. Who do you prefer as our starting left winger? Aubameyang has been so good playing down the middle like he usually is, so I wouldn't move him out wide, says Hakon. All this depends on formation, but in a 4-2-3-1, I would keep Aubameyang in the middle and have Lacazette on the bench. So meaning you play either a Wobie, I presume, but that wasn't part of the question. That's what I'm just thinking.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's actually not answered his own question. He's said something. I agree with him. Look, I think Aubameyang's much better through the middle. I've said it all last year as well. But if you're asking me what I think Emery's going to do, then it'll be Aubameyang left, Lacazette through the middle. What I would do, who I would play on the left, I don't know. I literally, as I said, if you're assuming 4-2-3-1, if he's going to put Aubameyang through the middle, Pepe right, say Ozil 10, what would Emery do? Probably play Mickey, maybe Nelson.
Oh yeah, Nelson.
I wouldn't trust Nelson to be a starter personally. But I'd be interested to know, and I know he will reply to this. So like I said, if he's doing that, what he said with Lacazette on the bench and Aubameyang as a 9, who would he play on the left?
I don't. He's got Lacazette on the bench, and I know you you got a bit of stick last season over Lacazette, but this is.
Oh, did I? I didn't know it.
But he Arsenal Player of the Year, so how do you leave him out?
Look, as I said, I don't think he will. I think he's going to play Lacazette 9, Aubameyang left. Is Aubameyang left ideal? No, but...
Well, we know they both work together on the field.
Huh?
We know they both work together. I think, you only got to look back at last season and playing them together was the go. I personally wouldn't mind them both up front.
Yeah, I think that's probably why he used the 5 a lot of the time, because it was the only way to really get 2 up top. I don't think it was a fact of, we're conceding a lot of goals, let's go 5 at the back. I think it was more the only way, really, because you're not going to go 4-4-2 with modern midfielders, with pressing and whatnot, and we didn't have any wingers anyway. The the only way to really get them both on the pitch was to play a 5-3-2. You get your wing width from your fullback, so you don't need any wingers, which we didn't have anyway.
But now we've got a winger. Now we've got a winger.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I think buying Pepe puts an end to that. I don't think we can play the 5 anymore unless he goes 5 at the back, 2 in the... And I said this a few weeks ago, but we were talking about Zaha, but it's the same thing. If he goes 5 at the back, 2 in the middle, and then says to the front 3, do whatever the fuck you fancy, that's the only way I could see us playing it, but I don't think he'll do that.
Well, we've got 4 days to think about it before we're back on Friday to discuss it, and Schwinn will be here as well. Let's hope. Let's hope.
Apparently.
Fucking hell. He might as well email his predictions in. Sandeep.
He's usually the one that writes them down, though. That's the issue.
Yeah, I know. You might have to do something, mate.
Like that.
Any new rumours regarding signing a centre back? It seems to have died down. We were linked to somebody. Who was that?
Regani,
yeah.
Well, just as we've been on, I'll leave his name. Well, actually, Tez won't be able to say it. I can't say it. So, you know the French centre back.
Oh, is that I was saying in the WhatsApp? Fucking say his name, you cunts. Yeah.
Yeah, where you recorded it off like Googled speech or something and kept playing it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently, while we've been recording, we've had a 60 million bid for him rejected.
Rejected.
Go on, what was his name?
Oh, mate, I'm not going to have a shot at it. Absolutely. I listened to it about 6 times.
You kept playing us the recording.
Yeah. What was his name?
I think, and my pronunciation, I've not actually listened to anyone else say it, so I've only really seen it written. I think it's Upamecano, but that could be completely wrong.
That's completely wrong. It's Upamecano. I don't know.
Yeah, so apparently, according to Bild, the German newspaper, Leipzig, where's Schwinn when you need him, have rejected a £60 million bid for us within the last couple of hours.
Ah. You want him?
From what I've seen of him, which again, obviously me not being able to say his name suggests it's not a lot, is only highlights. He looks good. He's also young. He's probably, when we were just having the discussion about there being no young centre-backs, the listeners were probably sitting at home just screaming his name out. Like, why aren't you talking about him? So there's a lot to work with. It would also be building for the future. And if that happened, you'd have him next season. You'd have him, Saliba and Holding all under sort of 23, 24, and you can build long term then. Yeah, I mean, again, is 60 million overpriced from what he's done in his career so far? Yeah. But then, as I said, it's a defender's premium at the moment. We always used to speak about the English tax or the Premier League tax. I think at the moment there's a centre-back tax.
All right, let's have a listen to his name.
Dayot Upamecano.
Upamecano.
How is your Google?
Upamecano.
Even your Google's Australian.
Dayot Upamecano.
Yeah, it is.
Dayot Upamecano.
Here, we've got another one.
Here's some information about Austria.
What do you got?
My Google Play heard that and started talking to me.
I was wondering what the fuck's going on there. This is great podcast and shit, isn't it?
It started telling me about Austria.
Dayot Upamecano. Dayot Upamecano.
Is that it?
Dayot Upamecano.
That's what I said, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Dayot Upamecano.
She's all over.
I can't believe your little speech thing's Australian.
Of course I'm fucking in Australia. Why do you think I fuck up all these pronunciations?
No, but like, usually an automated voice is an automated voice. They just sound like robots. Somehow yours is Australian.
We're a long
sentence with your day.
We're a long, long way away from you, mate.
Yeah, about 30 years behind by the sounds of it.
Did that really? I don't know. It sounds normal to me. Does it sound Australian? Does it?
There's an Australian accent on your robot, yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's classic. Righto. Sandeep says, although this is an Arsenal podcast, but what's the logic of Lukaku Dybala swap? Won't happen. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. It's now gone. Agent has Dybala. He said he's not going to Man United. So yeah.
But there is. I mean, it is a good question because there was absolutely no fucking logic in it.
There was no logic in it at all. Not sure how it improves Juventus.
Well, Sarri obviously wants a 9 because the alternative seemed to be a Cardi. So if for whatever reason he wants a 9, which I'd imagine will piss off Cristiano Ronaldo, but it'll be fun to watch.
I fucking have no idea why. For me, as a Roma fan, I was quite happy for it to happen.
Oh yeah, you would be. Makes sense for United.
Yeah, it was all win-win for United. They were definitely getting the better player. But yeah, I have no idea why. It's like Conte, he wants Zeko. And I'm like, why? You've got a Cardi already, but you don't like a Cardi. You want to get rid of him, who I rate. I reckon he's a really good.
But I think the issue with Icardi is more he doesn't want to. It's not his ability; it's more that he doesn't want to be there. And he's, by all accounts, I mean, we've read enough in the press that he seems like a massive troublemaker pretty much at all times. And Conte, as we know, is a very strong, fiery character, so they're just going to clash non-stop.
I
don't think it's a reflection of the ability of the player, to be honest.
I think Lukaku might end up at Inter. But you were saying something before we were just recording. He's not training with them.
Yeah, he's training. Lukaku's training with Anderlecht while he's waiting for his move to Italy to happen. But from what we're reading, it doesn't seem like it's close, as in like imminent. So it seems a bit weird that United have sort of sent him away or allowing him to train elsewhere. But I would guess Inter as well. That's if someone said I had to have a bet on it, I'd reckon he's going to end up at Inter. Yeah. And we know that that's who Conte actually wanted when he was at Chelsea. He got Morata. He didn't want him. It was weird. United and Chelsea both got the player they didn't want to piss off the other one.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. And I was talking to a mate there the other day, and I know we're getting off track here a little bit, but I can't work out why Chelsea sold Morata to Atletico Madrid when you're on a transfer ban. You need a striker.
I think they got their money back for him. I think that, and they shouldn't have, in reality.
Oh, it's good for us as Arsenal fans.
No, for them, they got a lot more from him than they should have.
Okay.
And I think they might have thought, we don't have. Look, if he was gonna stay and be behind Giroud and Abraham anyway, you might as well take the money for him because he's never going to be worth that much again, especially if he's second or third choice.
It's like United, like they get rid of Lukaku, mate. That's brilliant for us because they haven't got an out-and-out striker. Then Rashford, Martial can play there. Sanchez can play there. 4 days of the window shuts. Lukaku goes. What do?
Yeah, but I think Solskjaer's just going to play with run as much as you can, press and harry attitude. So he'll use, as you said, Martial or Rashford because they're quick. So it'll just be don't let people rest rather than... I'd imagine Rashford's going to start the season as their 9, to be honest.
They need more goals than they did last year, though.
Yeah.
But, like I say, that's good for us. I'm happy with that. I'm happy. It could be our year to capitalise on Chelsea and Man U this year.
Oh, we finished above United anyway.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Sandeep says, is Schwinn backing Alexis to be the top goal scorer this year?
We'll find out on Friday.
I hope he comes up with another cracker.
The thing is, though, it'll be ruined now because he was actually genuine last year. But now if he says something like that, we'll be like, oh, you're just carrying it on. But last year, he was being 100% serious.
He was onto it, yeah. This year, it mightn't be too bad at start-up if they're relying on Rashford, Martial and Alexis up front. It mightn't be a bad shout this year, Schwinn. Not one that I'm going to take, though. Ozil seems to be having a good pre-season. I'm not hearing a lot of people moaning. Could he have a fantastic season because of our front three? Also, Mustafi was trending on Twitter Australia this morning. I didn't see that, Sandy.
Someone of Ozil's ability is always capable of having a great season or great games. The issue is when he has a bad game, especially if it's away, are all the people going to come out again? He doesn't try hard enough, blah blah blah. That's not going to be the key. What he does on the pitch is going to be the key. But as I said earlier, are people going to, as soon as something starts going wrong, are people going to revert to what they were moaning about last season rather than go, look, he's had an off day and it can happen? I think at this stage, even as someone that really likes Ozil, I don't know what to expect from him anymore. Is he capable of being amazing and basically winning us a game on his own? Yeah. Is he capable of going missing? Also, yeah. I think he steps on the pitch and I don't really know what to expect.
But I said it last year. The problem I felt with Ozil was he didn't have Sanchez. Sanchez at United didn't have an Ozil. And we said that a few times, that they seemed to play so well together. So I'm a little bit excited of Pepe with Ozil because I'm hoping Pepe unleashes the Ozil, if that makes sense.
We'll see.
Look, I'm hoping that happens. Whether it does, time will tell. Vish says, was it just me or did Mkhitaryan have a shocking game last night? He seemed off the pace, not in sync with the team. Would be picked over the youngsters if he wasn't on 200k a week. Would he be picked over the youngsters?
Obviously, I'm the one that's wrong here because I didn't think he was shocking. It wasn't a howler. It wasn't horrendous. It wasn't good. I don't think it's the money. Again, I said this earlier. Everything comes down to the money when people are talking about him. If he didn't have the experience he did, would he be picked over the youngsters? Probably not. But he does have that experience, and I think that's probably what's going to keep him getting picked over the likes of Reece Nelson for the next few weeks at least. He has played at a higher level and he's experienced a higher level and he's experienced more in-game situations. So it's not the money for me because, again, I say this all the time. Just get this printed on a T-shirt and wages never wins a football match. But I think it's that. I don't think money has anything to do with it.
Hakon did reply. Hakon's reply was, getting old, can't rely on pace anymore, and then positioning himself more centrally.
Well, he plays between the lines and he does still pick up them spaces very well. I don't think he was ever sort of electric quick anyway. I don't know. I don't feel like he's slowed down.
He's a weird-looking bloke, though. He's a weird body type. Doesn't look, he's not a pacey bloke, really.
No, he's not.
He's never been far. I don't know. Maybe he was years ago. I don't know.
No, he's always been more sharp than.
Yeah, sharp's a good word. Yeah.
PC winger.
Halls of Marble says Mustafi rightly gets stick from fans, but is it right to say it knocks his confidence? Any public figure should accept criticism. It's wrong in my opinion, he says, when it goes personal attacks, and he's talking about religion and family. Did he get stuff on that, did he?
Probably, I don't know, he tends to, but Jesus. I mean, I don't agree with it anyway. Just because they're a public figure, you're allowed to hate them. Like, why? What's it? For me, that's especially as I said, I don't mind it so much. It's not for me, but I don't mind it when people have done something wrong. But it's like going to see a comedian and you can go, oh, you're allowed to heckle comedians. Yep. You don't do it the second they walk on the stage. You don't get, oh, and here's, I don't know, who's the biggest comedian in Australia that I'd have heard of? What's
Carl Barron.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Carl Barron is?
No.
Rodney Roode? He's years ago. He's old. Kevin Bloody Wilson? Old.
What's the tiny geezer's name that's always in everything with a rock?
Oh, fuck, yeah. Kevin Hart?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so you don't go and see Kevin Hart and, okay, you can heckle him during the show if he's not funny or whatever, but he doesn't walk on the stage and everyone goes, boo, Kevin, you're a cunt, you're not funny, what are you fucking doing? Go away, Kevin. If someone done that, you'd think that's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, but as football fans or sports fans or whatever, we seem to do it.
Yeah, apparently it's normal and it's not for me.
People have made their mind up, and we were talking about it before. People have made their mind up before a ball's even been kicked off. or
Yeah,
first
it's why-
10 minutes.
Yeah, it's why before Clock End Talk I barely used Twitter. I still don't use it as much as people think, because you can write a lot of people. You don't need to watch the game to know what. There's certain people that you know what they're going to say. So I don't need to go on Twitter because I can tell you what someone said and I'll be right 99% of the time anyway.
There's a few Twitter famous celebrities. They kind of fuck it up a bit too.
But it's not even just them. There's just say I'm not going to name any names because I can't really remember anyone's name. But there is certain accounts who, regardless, they might as, like we said it last season. They might as well have said Lacazette was man of the match before the game kicked off.
Mm.
And there's accounts, we know they're not famous. They might only have 10 followers. But I know that after the game, if I click on their profile, it's going to say Lacazette was man of the match, regardless of what happened.
That's why I'm putting him in as my... Anyway, we'll wait till Friday. Halls of Marble. If Man United sign Fernandes, are they Europa League favourites over ourselves? Look, you might correct me on this, Tony. I was reading, I heard on the radio. Spurs are right in for him.
He's been linked with Tottenham, but I think their valuations are miles apart, which is not really surprising. They want stupid amounts of money for him. We had this conversation in the WhatsApp group over the summer. I don't rate him at all. Well, not when
I haven't seen much of him. So Sporting Lisbon, isn't
he just fucking shoots every time he gets the ball.
Does he?
Like, without fail. Don't matter if he's the best option. And remember, I was watching the Portugal. Who was it? Who did they beat in the Nations League? Switzerland. And it was a shit first half. It was 0-0. And they go, but he's the only one doing anything. He's had 6 shots. That doesn't mean they're the right option. And obviously none of them went in. He shoots every time he gets the ball and he kicks the ball very fucking hard. So if it's going in the corner, it goes in and you get a lot of rebounds and shit. But for me, he wastes a lot of attacks. But back to the question. I meant to actually check, but I forgot who is the favourite for the Europa League. Anyway, I don't know if we are. There's always going to be drop-downs from the Champions League. I think even if they do sign him, I don't think it will make much difference to the odds. So if we're favourites, them signing him, we'd still be favourites, I think, and obviously vice versa. I think them signing Maguire would have made more of a change to the odds than them signing him. If it happens.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I haven't checked the odds of that either, so I'm not sure. Usually I do. I put an early bet on, but yeah. Hakon Larson, from next year, should we play Holding and Saliba and let them grow, or use them as our starters and see where it takes us? That depends. It's Saliba and
Said the same thing twice.
Oh. From next year, should we play Holding and Saliba and let them grow, use them as our starters and see where it takes us?
Oh, so when he says play them and let them grow, I assume he means just every now and then, or when it needs must.
Yeah.
I assume so. Otherwise, he said the same thing twice.
Yep. Yeah. So, Holding's pretty much a starter by next season anyway, isn't he? He's a starter now, really.
Yeah, I mean,
Saliba,
I imagine that if fitness and there's no new signings and blah, 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 then it will probably be Holding. And Saliba, they'll have to blend him in, I'd imagine. I don't think he comes in and starts straight away. No, we don't know. It's a long time in football. It's a hell of a long time. But I'd imagine that long term is probably the plan. But in the sort of medium to long term, that they've got to sort of bleed him in.
And by next season, we will probably have, if all goes well,
Upamecano.
that bloke. Who the fuck's this queer cunt? Ghost of MAA Gunner.
Oh, God.
Jesus. Fuck me dead.
Is that you?
That's not me.
Oh.
Fucking hell, I've got
Well,
better things to
whenever
do.
a stupid account pops up, it's usually you.
Oh, you blame me. Jesus Christ.
I'm usually right.
No, not me this time, mate. Oh, fucking hell. Did Man United really think they were getting Dybala? That's ridiculous. He created that account, goes to say that dumb question.
We spoke about it earlier.
Yeah. Ghost of MAA Gunner. Will the mole ever resurrect? Look, I'll mention this. I've heard a few people ask this. I've heard a few people DM me. They've contacted us on our Twitter timeline. I only knew the bloke through Twitter, through DM. That's the only... I don't know. I wouldn't know who the blokes... I knew him as Moley Football through DM. And I used to say to him, mate, any chance you throw a retweet out? That's the only way I knew the bloke. And through the blog, he does have an email address, and I can give you that email address, which is... No, DM me and I can give it to you, because I haven't got it on me at the moment. But it's like footballmole@gmail or something like that. That's what's registered on our blog. So I'd have to have a look on the blog. That is the email address registered on the blog. And the reason he got on the blog is because I sent him an email for an invite because he said he's interested in writing some stuff on the blog. And that is as far as I know. The account has been deactivated, and yeah, your guess is...
What, you mean it's not me?
No, it's not you.
All the rumours aren't true, and it hasn't actually been me, like I've said for the last fucking 2 years.
I know it's not you. Like, fucking, yeah. Just through DM, that's the only way I know the guys. I heard someone say, how do you speak to somebody and you don't know him? I'll be honest, MAA Gunner, I don't know what your name is. I know you as MAA Gunner. That's it. There's others out there. Hack on last. That's probably his name.
What a shit example. There's so many examples.
Mad,
choose the one that's clearly fucking his name.
Mad Wire 1. I only know him as Mad Wire 1. So, that's just the world of social media, isn't it? I guess. So, yeah, is he going to resurrect? I don't know, mate. I don't know. I might, I'm going to actually email him, and I'm going to say, are you going to resurrect this Twitter account? Because if you're not going to, flick it over to me and I'll have it. There we go. That's what I'll do. I'll send him an email and see if I can have the Twitter account. Liam says, do you think we can realistically reach the top 4 without any defensive signings? And do you think we will make any more signings? We're going to do top 4 next. Well, go on, say yours because
Can we? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Without,
yeah.
All I was gonna say.
Any more signings? Do you think?
I'm leaning more towards no every day.
This Tierney thing's got me completely fucked. We've been linked for him all summer. Or most of the summer.
I've gone from being like 95% confident. Everyone knows I'm never 100% confident. It's just the way I am. But I've gone from like 95%, which for me is as high as it gets, to I'm below 50 now.
Don't think it's happening.
No, as I said, if someone gave me a tenner now and said you have to bet on yes or no, I would go no. It wouldn't happen.
I've seen a few of all those.
That's not based on anything, by the way. I haven't. I read on Twitter the same as everyone else. Just the amount of time it's dragging out and dragging
out a long time. I was going to say all these in the know accounts popping up all over Twitter lately. Can someone tell me what's madness?
So
what is it?
What's his name? AFC. Well, it's AF Camden, but it looks like AFC Camden. Years ago, when he was probably the top rated in the know. Obviously, there's no league table, but he was the one that everyone looked at. He said, Arsenal are trying to do madness this summer, and they're really trying. So obviously, it's like a top end player, a big signing. And since then, obviously, nothing happened. We didn't sign anyone. It might have been the Czech summer where we literally only signed Czech. Can't remember, but since then, madness has just become the phrase that Arsenal in the know, they use. It started from him using it years ago.
Oh, okay. So, because I've seen that floating around the last week. Madness.
Yeah, it's an easy way to sort of hedge your bets, because if you think for some reason Arsenal are going to sign a lot of money, if they would have tweeted that a month ago and then Pepe signed, they'd have been I told you we was going to do madness.
Ah, yeah. Fuck, that's clever.
So it's like saying, I know we're going to do something big, and then if anything big tap, and you're like, oh yeah, I said that.
Yeah, that's very clever. I'm going to do that. I'm going to just tweet madness from my account. I'll be able to get one right. At Gunatez. I do it on Clock and Talk, and people will think it's Tony.
Yeah, probably.
Pete says, with the signing of Pepe, do you think Arsenal have finally realised Tez's struggles to pronounce names? So are taking it easy on him?
Well, I have it on good authority. My sources tell me that is now Arsenal's transfer criteria. But because that wasn't working, they've now gone the other way and started looking at Upamecano, whatever his name was.
Upamecano.
Yeah.
That fella.
Well, Mercado is in Spanish means market, so he's just essentially a market. The market man.
Let's call him nickname him Market. Snow, all right there, mate? You okay?
Huh? Yeah, he's trying to fight me.
Madness. A couple more questions to get through, and then we're done. Madness. Madness. Now I've got madness on the fucking brain. Mad Wire. 1. Pepe, really a pure winger like Zaha, but a wide forward right mid. Statistically.
Oh, sorry, I read this when he wrote it yesterday. I think he means isn't a pure winger.
Oh, okay. Righto. He is more Messi, Malcolm in terms... Oh, how's fucking Malcolm? What a poor, simple cunt he's turned out.
Didn't he get... I'm not sure how true this is, but obviously I know he went to Zenit. Apparently he got racial abuse, like, literally in his first game, which was like a day after he signed. I
didn't see that. I laughed.
I don't know if it's true. Not looked into it. I just saw a headline.
You see the Roma account? Thanks for your services. What a classic. That was gold. Anyway. Sorry, I'll get back to the question. Statistically, he is more a Messi / Malcolm. I don't know how you'd have them in the same sentence, but anyway. In terms of where... okay. In terms of where he likes to receive the ball, holes rather than by the line. He needs a link-up man front. Laka is a dream player for him. Where does that leave Aubameyang? Okay.
There's a lot of what he said is true about how Pepe likes to play.
Yep.
And I see what he means about he can bounce off Lacazette and play 1-2s and drift inside that way. Yeah, it would work. In the same way, you could say that he has quite a good final ball and he gets the ball into the box, and that's where Aubameyang comes to life. So there's positives for both of them. Like, you could do it with both.
What about Ursula?
A 10 doesn't affect that.
Okay.
What Madwire is saying is that he could use Lacazette to bounce off, so play 1-2s with and run off him.
Okay.
Whereas you can't do that with Aubameyang. He's not good enough. But then with Aubameyang, he's going to be making them runs in behind, which makes the defence drop deeper, which gives Pepe more space. And if the defence don't drop deeper, then there's room for Pepe to slide that ball in behind and Aubameyang to get in. So I think he suits both players, but in different ways.
Okay. He goes on and says, Pepe is a killer and his movement is incredible. Him and Laka make early passes into feet with Laka only got what Laka only got from Ramsey and sometimes Aubameyang last season. I've been saying for a while they will have telepathic on the pitch if we somehow got him. Remember what I'm saying, guys. Okay.
Again, I don't think Pepe's his passing into feet is not for the benefit of the striker. So it's for him to play off. Like he plays a lot of wall passes or bounce passes, whatever you want to call them. So even if he gives Lacazette the ball earlier, a lot of the time it will be back to goal and it will use Laka's hold-up skills and he can run off him. That's not taking any credit away from anyone, but I don't see that kind of thing as a telepathic relationship that's going to suddenly make Lacazette get 30 goals, because I think he'll be doing a lot more work with his hold-up play and back to goal and linking in that way, which he's very good at, and it could make him look very, very good. But I don't think it will help Lacazette get more goals.
Okay. Leo says, how do you think the incoming of Ceballos will affect Ozil. Will he show up more as there is less pressure? Also, with Pepe on the wings, will Ozil have more options to pass to? That's where I was talking about. I was thinking maybe,
Yeah, I mean, that you assume answers itself if he's got a flying winger, and especially if we go Lacazette, Aubameyang and Pepe and him behind them, then he's got options in all directions that are useful options. And then obviously if they tuck in, you've got the full-backs bombing on, which seems to have going to carry on. So the second part of that is really easy to answer. The first part of the question, I don't know, because I don't know if he plans to use Ceballos. I don't know how he plans to use him, really. So far, we've seen him more as the one of the two that are a bit deeper. He's not really used him as in a 10. Like, Santi played with Ozil, not instead of him, and I think we'll probably try and use Ceballos in that kind of role. The issue it has there is that if you assume Torreira is going to be our defensive midfielder, then it leaves Xhaka out, and Xhaka is almost certainly going to be captain, so you'd assume he wouldn't be left out. I personally think, from looking at the way Emery works, you're more likely to see Ceballos and Xhaka than Torreira and Ceballos.
Okay.
But I don't think Ceballos' involvement will be at the expense of Ozil. It could be. If you need to go a bit more defensive in a game, then instead of playing a 10, he might play a free in the middle, and then that brings into play the likes of Willock and Guendouzi as well. So you've got free spaces between Willock, Guendouzi, Torreira, Ceballos and Xhaka. That's if you're a bit more defensive. If you want to be a bit more front foot, a bit more positive, and you do play a 10, then obviously Ozil plays. So I just think it's going to be more based on his setup in different games.
Oh, he's going to be flip-flopping around all over the place, Emery. He's going to... He's going to... Mate, we're never... I think Schwinn wanted us to do because he talked about... you're not in that. It's the writers' chat with Craig and the boys, just on what they're writing about on the blog. And we're talking about categories and stuff for the next show, because they're going to do it on the blog as well. So we're on par, and we can actually get ours on the blog, so we can look back at it. But anyway...
Well, that was, I mean, not blowing my own trumpet, but that was the idea why I wanted to start it last year.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just blowing your own trumpet. But Schwinn was saying, do you want to do a predicted lineup for the season? And I'm like, I can't see how we will do that, because it's going to change. I cannot see it being the same. Like, you're talking Willock, you're talking Maitland-Niles, like Granite, Torreira. There's so many options. Holding comes back. Who plays? You know, who's your backs? Like, it's going to change so many times, which I'm okay with, but hopefully it's for the right, not for the wrong. David says, it seems we have a good number of young talent coming up that are more in forward positions. Why is it we have not much talent in the centre back? So similar to what Hakon said last time. Good question, thanks David, but Hakon, I read his first, so sorry mate. Edinburgh Guna, is that it? Will we sign a centre back? My head says no, and my heart says yes. Who are realistic targets?
As I said, I'm leaning more towards... Yeah, well, that. No, I'm leaning more towards no. I think if we do sign anyone, it'll be someone like a Regani, a fourth or fifth choice centre back at another big team, or a loan deal. But I think it'll be a shorter term measure if we do sign someone. But I'm kind of leaning more towards no, which will leave us short, I think.
Is there anything that anyone on the free transfer, because me and you were talking about this a couple of weeks ago.
You love this free transfer. You're
I love it.
the tightest guy on earth. It's all you ever talk about.
Yeah, I know there's some players there, I just can't think of them at the moment. But we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and I said, is there a chance that...
I think the only... Off the top of my head, I've not looked at it because I don't really care about the free transfer list. I'm not you. I think Gary Cahill is probably the only...
Yeah, that's fine. That's all.
Only name on there.
Yeah. What do you mean I like this free transfer list?
It's all we ever talk about. You literally go to like charity shops or thrift shops, whatever you call them.
Mate, I'm a tight ass. If I can get a bargain from a free fucking thing, I just think Arsenal have Saliba coming next year, right? Holding, you got Chambers, talk about, a couple others. This kid, this other bloke who we can't even pronounce, not even try. Why would you go and spend now, though? Like, why would you? So, not now. I suppose you said there was a 60 million bid rejected. What truth's in that? I don't know. That for me would be a good buy, but I don't see us going for what people were saying. Dunk earlier. There was other players with what we're doing next window, next year. I just can't see us buying some old fart and spending 20 or 30 million on him this window when you can go and get Cahill for free and probably sign him up for a year or two and cost you nothing. That's just my thoughts on it.
You're a charity shop guy. So. I bet you're sitting there wearing clothes that you fucking hate, but they were free or cheap. So you're like, oh yeah, that'll do.
Pretty much. I got told the other day. What was I the other day?
Sitting there wearing a G-string because it was free.
No, someone called me something on fucking YouTube. I laughed. They just took it as a compliment. A bogan thug or something. That was pretty nice of them. Ads, ADZ, the A-Team Dreams. Fuck off, cunt. Why have we still not bought a centre-back after last season and the season before? We just spoke about that. I think I need to clear Mustafi. That's the problem.
I don't know. I ain't got a clue what's going on. It seems obvious to everyone. I don't know.
WIGL3.
I'm just saying that the only one thing I can think of is that we are still looking at players, like even if you look at who we've brought, and we spoke about this a lot last year, that they could be worth a hell of a lot more in future. So we're still, even though we've spent decent money, we're still there are still investments. And I think because of what I said earlier about the price of centre-backs being at probably a high point at the moment, being crazy, that it's very difficult to get an investment centre-back. We've got one, but we had to loan him out for the year. And I think that probably has come into the thinking. With this self-sustaining model, you can't have all Aubameyangs. You're going to have players that will generate a return if everything all goes to plan. And look, Pepe has a very high ceiling. If he comes and has what did he get last season? 22 goals, 11 assists in the French league. If he comes and does that in the Premier League, he's valued probably doubles or close to it. Whereas if you buy a 60 million defender, like Harry Maguire is never going to be worth more than 80 million.
No,
and I think that might be a problem that Arsenal are facing. That if you look at centre-back targets, they're going, well, basically, financially, we're never going to see a return on this, or we're never going to get our money back. In terms of finance, of course, I know football, if it wins thing on the pitch, blah, 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 but obviously then that banks on winning things.
That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, Pepe, you talk about the 22 goals last year. I'd seen a stat running around, and look, I don't watch French league, so correct me if I'm wrong. 11 or 9 or 11 of them or something were penalties.
I think it was 9 penalties, but he won 7 of them. Yeah,
okay. So, look, I don't care what he does anyway, if he wins them or not. But the question I wanted to ask you was, does he now take over of our penalties?
No idea. It was strange. It was at Real Madrid that Lacazette and Aubameyang were both on the pitch and Lacazette took it. Lacazette, to be fair though, you know what Aubameyang's like. Lacazette basically scored an open goal and Nacho handballed it on the line and got sent off for it, but it was like 100% going in. So he might have just given it in for that reason. I don't know. Or is that a signs of thing to come? It's hard to tell. I'd imagine that you have your gunman as your penalty taker, and Aubameyang's always going to be that. So I would imagine it's still going to be him, but I don't know. And it's hard to tell. Like, there are players, you see them as good penalty takers. And when you see that Pepe scored, 9, you'd imagine he's a good penalty taker, but you don't know. I don't know if he actually is or...
No, I don't know either. It was just that I seen that stat floating around last week and I thought, I wonder whether he's... Because I'm going if I get some stick, tough luck. But I think Harry Kane takes a really good penalty.
He's one of the best.
So if a Pepe's like that, I'm thinking, well, hey...
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like So Kane might only have an 8 out of 9 record as well. I'd imagine it's better, but he may only have that. But as you said, we sit here and go, Harry Kane is an excellent penalty taker. Whereas Pepe may have the same record, but he might not have that same where you think have that same opinion. I don't know. So I guess it depends.
Mm-hmm.
But it's another one. If someone said to me now, who's your money on to be our penalty taker, I'd say Aubameyang.
Yeah. Let us know anyway at @clockn_talk and... I don't know, you may have watched more French League than us. So. One last one, I'll just give it a shout out. We have answered it before. W1GL3T, man, you have to change that fucking name. I'm trying to think what it even stands for. Win, 1, G, no, I don't know, got nothing. He says, we are not getting a defender, are we? So he's of the opinion of the same as us. I don't know. I'm still a little bit confident. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, we always come out looking like arseholes on this podcast. So to prove us wrong, they'll hopefully go and sign 3 this week.
Yeah, I'll throw this up and then next fucking... Well, by Thursday.
Before it goes live, it'll be literally like, because it takes an hour for you to upload or whatever, we'll have signed fucking 10 centre-backs.
Okay.
I'm happy for that, by the way. I'm more than happy to be wrong.
Yeah, me too. Okay, well, that is about us. So we will be back, like I say, Friday for our predictions, season predictions and all that. Also... I've got Fantasy League going. I wasn't going to get it going. Everyone said, oh, come on, man. Get it going. So you can join us in Fantasy League and Tony is not doing it.
Well, I won last year's because we worked out that I won in life because I didn't actually waste any time doing it. And you lot spent hours of your life and you actually don't know who won the league. So
no, we don't even know. I lost it. I don't even know where it is.
Yeah, so I'm clearly the winner because I had other shit to do.
Well, I spent about 3 hours picking my team tonight and I still don't even know if it's any fun.
You still don't know who won the fucking league, so what's the point? It's like me going to Arsenal every week and then someone going, oh, who won the league? Oh,
shut up while I give this code out. So... If you want to join our fantasy league,
code is LOSERS.
The code is 3D3DOW.
What was that again?
3D3DOW. Okay. So that's that. Also, just quickly, I am doing a tipping. I put that out. Look, it's free. Basically, because Tony gives me no predictions on the podcast each week, so I'm asking you guys to say win, lose or draw. DM at Goonatez with your predicted scoreline. You don't have to be like somebody DM'd me the other day and he gave his predictions for the whole season. So I'm actually interested to see how that does pan out. So you can do that if you want. Or, week by week or whatnot. But he gave them all to me and I was like, I'll see how that...
I might even DM you some.
Yeah, DM me some. Oh, that'd be a shock.
I mean, that's absolutely not going to happen.
That would be a complete shock for you giving a prediction. Look, send them over to me. I'm going to cap it at about 20 or 30 because I'm like, fuck it, I'm not going to do it all. But it is only for Arsenal games and it's just, I'll give a shout out to whoever's leading it and whatnot. Never know, by the end of the season I might have some type of giveaway. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
From your charity shop.
From me free shop. That's about it, mate. We'll be back on Friday.
Cool. Just to point out, it's Friday for me, so in Australia it's probably 1862 or something.
It's Friday for me too. Friday going into Saturday. Sorry, you're a bit late. Oh, just quickly before I go, did you catch the cricket?
What's cricket?
Good night. See you later.